What is the freakiest/creepiest thing that's ever happened to you? I had a roommate who was always a complete arsehole. Never was polite or kind to anyone. One night after I helped his drunk ass to bed, he turned to me and said, "I really appreciate you, and I know you don't like seeing me like this. You've been a good roommate and friend. Thank you." I found him dead the next morning due to an undiagnosed heart condition that alcohol had amplified. Not creepy or freaky in the normal sense, but I will never forget how serious and genuine he was in his last words ever spoken. It was the first time I had ever heard him compliment anyone. Okay, yes, that is a little bit creepy, actually. It's like, this person was their roommate, and they never heard their roommate ever say anything nice to anyone until the night before that person died. That's a bit creepy. In 1991, I went to a 7-Eleven by myself when we were at my grandmother's house. There was another kid there about my age. We looked similar, etc. I bought a Slurpee and walked back to my grandma's house, and that was that. The other kid was kidnapped and murdered, pretty much right after leaving that 7-Eleven. The only thing I can think of that kept it from being me was maybe I won some sort of cosmic coin toss. The police are pretty sure they know who did it but couldn't prove it, and to this day it still weirds me out. I'm 41 now and live in that neighborhood. Wow. The fact that you still live in that neighborhood is actually kind of impressive, because I would not still be living in that neighborhood. It's a neighborhood with a child murderer living in it. Yeah, I would not still be living there. Also, yeah, that was, pretty lucky for you, actually. Yeah. Cosmic coin tosses. Very powerful, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, that was an attempt at a joke, but I am not funny, so you know what, let's just move on. I was probably 9 years old, in about 1995. At that time, all the schools and parents were warning us of stranger danger. It seemed like a lot of kids were getting kidnapped because they were being tricked into helping the kidnappers find a lost pet. One day I was riding my bike alone on our street, a fairly populated street, lots of kids out playing and whatnot, and a green two-door car pulled up with a woman driving and a guy in the passenger seat. The guy calls out the window to me, "Hey kid, we lost our dog. Can you help us find her?" I can still remember the feeling I felt. It was like sirens were going off, and I thought for a split second that this was it. I was going to be kidnapped. A rush of what felt like burning hot adrenaline shot through my body. I felt like I could hear everything 10 times louder and see everything 10 times better. I've never felt anything like that before. I hopped off my bike, pulled the front tire up so I could turn around faster, and I booked it home. I was shaking and tears were pouring down my face even though I wasn't crying. I got home and told my mum what happened. She called the police, but I'm not sure if the people were ever caught. Crazy. Okay, can I just say that anyone watching this video, if you have kids or do not have kids, seriously, you absolutely have got to teach them about stranger danger. Okay? Seriously, there are lots of bad people in this world. I don't understand why people do what they do. No one really understands why another person does something, but they do it whether we understand it or not. And honestly, I would definitely say that if this person had not been taught about stranger danger, they would have been kidnapped. Okay? Because, like, lots of little kids, they're so trusting of adults, and, like, I don't know why exactly. I think it's got something to do with adults are more experienced and adults are safe, and honestly, no, that's not the case, okay? It's really not. So again, seriously, teach kids about stranger danger, and if a random kid ever comes up to you and if you're a decent person, just tell them not to go up to strangers like that. I have very strong opinions about people who kill and kidnap. I think they should just go to prison for the rest of their lives. I think they should just go to hell or something. It's just, People who murder or kidnap or do any other really bad things, they're not, they, they're just a waste of oxygen, okay? People who do that stuff are just wastes of oxygen. Anyway, let's move on. I have a very vivid memory of waking up terrified in the middle of the night and running to my parents' room because I saw a ghost when I was a kid. He followed me and stared at me from the doorway as I crawled into their bed and hid under the covers. We looked at each other for a few minutes and then he left. I was so shaken that I stayed awake the rest of the night until my parents woke up in the morning. I was an adult when I realized that it was not a ghost and actually someone scoping at our house in the middle of the night. That would have been terrifying as an adult. As a kid, that would have... Seriously, that is the kind of thing that puts someone in therapy as kids. Also, I am making this video at 11:55 p.m. After reading that story, I am going to stop, wait until the morning, and keep recording then, because now I'm creeped out, and yeah. So, for everyone watching this video, it's going to be about half a second. For me, it's going to be a whole night, and I'm going to watch some YouTube videos before I go to sleep, because that actually helps me not be creeped out. So I guess I'll see you all in the morning. Okay, well, I'm back. I didn't get to sleep until, like, almost 2 o'clock for multiple reasons, and, yeah. I'm gonna keep making this video now, when it's day, and not midnight. My girlfriend, now wife, called me one Monday night and told me she had an uneasy feeling that something horrible was about to happen. She kept repeating it, and couldn't really explain the feeling she had. She had never said anything like that before, and hasn't since. Of course, earlier that day, I had, unbeknownst to her, picked up her engagement ring and was holding it when she called me. So that didn't exactly boost my self-confidence, as you can imagine. That was September 10th, 2001. Well then, wasn't exactly expecting, stuff like this. Some people just seem to have some weird sixth sense for when stuff bad is gonna happen. I don't know. But some people do seem to have it. It's kind of confusing, really. I was about 10 and I had a huge fear of someone being in my house, to the point where I wouldn't go to the basement because it scared me. But I am glad I had that fear, because one day during the summer I was trying to go to sleep and I heard a noise from above me, and I freaked out. I then noticed over the coming days that my room was really hot, and I thought this was strange because we just got new air vents put in. My dad was checking them out and went to get some sort of tool, when I saw the scariest image possible. There was a skinny man looking at me and my dad from the vent in my ceiling. I froze and pretended not to notice him, and went to get my dad, and me in my 10-year-old mind was instantly thinking, run with him out of the house, but I have 2 cats and was scared to leave them. So I grabbed a paper towel and a pen and wrote in my chicken scratch handwriting, "There is a man in my vent," but he couldn't read it and asked me what it meant, and that's when we heard a thud, and he looked at it again and must have put it together, because he grabbed me and called the police. When my mum got home, she got to see the man being dragged out of the house in cuffs. Even though he was caught and I still had a somewhat happy ending, the image of looking up and seeing his face and being so petrified I couldn't move or scream still haunts me. Wow, another experience that would be traumatic for a child. Like, seriously, why would you crawl in someone's vent? Why would you go into someone else's house without permission in the first place? I don't understand why people do these things. I just know that they do them, and it confuses me. When I was around 5, my parents and my little brother and I rented a camper on some campground in the Florida Keys. We were in the center of the grounds, with rocky seawalls and docks just to the east of the camper. My brother was free and had a habit of sleepwalking, so my parents made sure the door to the camper was locked and they were sleeping towards the front anyway. One night we hear a loud rapping at our door, and when my dad opens it, a soaking wet man is holding my soaking wet toddler brother. He was fishing late at night off the dock when he heard a splash, and sure enough, my brother had wandered from the camper and off the dock. The fisherman had pulled him out of the water and recognized him, since the campground was small enough that you met your neighbors pretty frequently, and we had been there for a few days by that point. It still freaks me out thinking of how lucky we were. Some random man decided to go fishing late at night and noticed my brother bobbing in the ocean. If he hadn't been there, my baby brother would have disappeared without a trace. Yes, that actually was very lucky that person decided to go late night fishing. Honestly, it's pretty lucky that any person decided to go late night fishing originally and then it just escalated, but let's not get into stuff like that because I can't be bothered to. Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty lucky. Anyway, I'm gonna end this video here. Like or dislike the video, I don't care. Subscribe or don't subscribe, I don't care. Comment or don't comment, I don't care. Seriously, if you do any of those things or don't do any of those things, I really don't care. You can do whatever you want. Again, I don't care. Anyway, goodbye.